Howdy, business math students. Today, we're going to just look at a couple of the problems from lesson 14-4 about the break-even point. And you might want to go fetch a sheet of paper and something to write with in your textbooks to follow along here. So I'll just wait for a second. You can pause the video. Oh, you're back. Great. Okay, so let's get me out of the way here a little bit more. Alrighty. The basic concept of the break-even point is that this is the point when a business's costs equal its sales. So total costs equals total sales. So let's say that I have a widget store, and let's say that I've got to pay rent for the store. I've got to pay wages to an employee who's at the cash register, and I've got to pay an electric bill. Those are costs I'm going to have regardless of the number of widgets I sell. My landlord is not going to care whether I sell 2 widgets or 1,000,000 widgets this month. My landlord is going to want the rent, and the rent is going to be the same either way. The lights are going to stay on whether I sell 2 widgets or 1,000,000 widgets. Doesn't matter. My employee is going to want to be paid, whether he just stands there at the cash register doing nothing except for the 2 times somebody bought a widget, or whether there's people lined up behind the cash register all day, every day. Either way, I'm going to pay my employee. Now, of course, in a real life situation, you might pay an employee overtime, for example, if there's more work to be done or something like that. But anyhow, those types of costs that I'm mentioning are fixed costs. And then there are variable costs. Now, all the widgets I sell, I'm going to have to get from someplace, probably not for free. So let's just say that I have to pay my supplier $4 for every widget that I sell. So every time I sell a widget, that's a cost to me of $4. Now, if I don't sell a widget, then maybe I can send it back and get my $4 back. So these costs go up or down depending on my sales. The more I sell, the more my variable costs. The less I sell, the less my variable costs. So variable costs plus fixed costs equals total costs. And then sales are going to have to equal total costs in order for me to break even. Because if I only sell 2 widgets, well, I'm already paying $4 per widget to to have them available for sale. So let's say I sell them for $10 each. So I got $20 minus the $8 that I had to pay for the widget. So I've got $12 left over. You know what? That $12 is probably not going to be enough to pay my rent and my electric bill and to pay my employee. So I'm going to lose money. It's going to be less than the break-even point. But if I sell 1,000,000 widgets, okay, so 1,000,000 at $10 a piece, that's $10 million, minus the $4 million for the for the cost of each widget. That's going to be $6 million. Hooray! Yippee! I've got $6 million. That's probably going to be more than my fixed costs. Out of that $6 million, I can pay my rent, I can pay my electric bill, I can pay my employee, and I am past the break-even point. Whatever's left over, I get to keep, and that's my profit. Yay! Whoopie-doo. So let's look at a couple of examples. Number 1 on page 541 in your textbook, we've got Barron Incorporated. They made 5,000 football helmets. So let's jot this down here. Actually, let me make this a little bit smaller. Okay, there we go. So Barron Incorporated, 5,000 helmets. There's a fixed cost of $105,000. So fixed cost of 100, oops, there we go, 100, oh, keep pressing the wrong key. There we go, $105,000. So that's going to be maybe what I'm paying in rent for the factory, maybe if I borrowed money to buy my machines or something like that, the interest I have to pay for borrowing the money, something like that. Those would be fixed costs. And the variable costs are $195,000. So the question is, what price per helmet am I going to have to charge in order to break even on these helmets? So what should my price, my sale price per helmet be if I'm going to break even? Well, we can use this equation up here to help us solve this problem. Our total costs need to equal our total sales in order for us to break even. So our total costs are going to be our fixed costs of $105,000 plus our variable costs, whoops, need to write the numbers, not the words, $195,000. That's going to have to equal, there we go, our total sales, which is going to be the number of helmets, or 5,000 times the price per helmet. We'll just call that, do a little algebra, call that 5,000p for price. So our total costs, fixed costs plus variable costs, needs to equal our number of units sold multiplied by the price per helmet. That's what we're trying to figure out, the value of P right there. So we do some math. We go 105,000 plus 195,000. That's going to equal 300,000. And that needs to equal 5,000 helmets times the price per helmet. So we can do some algebra here, isolate the variable by dividing both sides of this equation by 5,000. So we go 300,000 divided by 5,000 helmets equals 5,000p divided by 5,000. There we go. And 300,000 divided by 5,000 equals, and I can just go ahead and extend this here. There we go. That equals $60. So the price per helmet is going to equal $60 if we're going to break even. Now, of course, is breaking even probably the goal of Baron Incorporated, this helmet manufacturing company? Do they want to get to the end of the year and say, yay, this year we had costs and sales that were exactly equal. We broke even. Whoopie-doo. Yeah, probably not. They want to make a profit. So if they want to make a profit, they're going to have to charge more than $60 per helmet. And then anything over $60 per helmet is going to be profit for them. So if they charge, let's just say $70 per helmet, that's going to give them $10 of profit per helmet. So they're going to have a total profit on these helmets, if they charge $70 a piece, of $10 times 5,000, or $50,000. So $50,000 profit if they charge $10 more than the break-even price. So that's problem number one. Let's look at problem number two. In problem number two, we've got Babyco Corporation. They're making toy trucks. So it tells us in the problem there, they have variable costs of $800,000. They've got fixed costs of $4 per truck. Fixed costs $4 per truck that they make and sell. And their price per truck is $20. So sale price per truck is $20. So the question is, how many trucks do they need to sell for $20 each in order to break even? So how many trucks to break even? That's our question. What's the break-even point for the number of trucks? And maybe I can capitalize correctly. There we go. Okay, so once again, our total costs need to equal our total sales. And we're gonna have to do a little bit of extra work here in a way. Our total costs are gonna be our variable costs of 800,000 plus our fixed costs of $4 per truck. We're gonna say 4T, $4 times the number of trucks is going to be our total cost. And we don't know what the number of trucks is yet. That's kind of the whole point of the problem. Now, on the other side, the sales, what are the total sales going to be? Well, the total sales are going to be $20 times the number of trucks. So when we multiply the number of trucks by the variable costs and add to the fixed costs, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. When we multiply the number of trucks times the fixed costs, add to the variable cost, that's going to give us our total costs. We multiply the price per truck times the number of trucks, that's going to give us our sales. So let's do some algebra here. We can subtract 4T from both sides. So 800,000, oops, there we go, plus 4T minus 4T equals 20T minus, do this right here, 4T. And of course, that's going to equal 0 there, so we're left with 800,000 on this side of the equation equals 20 minus 4, that's going to be 16T. So we can now divide both sides by 16. 800,000 divided by 16 equals 16T divided by 16. So 800,000 divided by 16, get my calculator here, 800,000 divided by 16, that's going to equal, hope you can read that there, 50,000. So T, or the number of trucks, equals 50,000. That's the number of trucks they're going to have to sell in order to break even. And remember though, the goal of the company is not to break even. Their goal is to make a profit. So if they want to make a profit, they're going to have to sell more than 50,000 trucks. So that's what they're going to try to do in order to make a profit. All right, don't be afraid to contact me if you have any questions about today's lesson. Some of these problems are a little bit tricky. Please feel free. Give me a ring, send me a text, all that stuff. And I hope it goes well for you. Like and subscribe and follow me on InstaSnap. See ya!